Hi, this is Patti Johnson with PeopleResults, and I want to give you some tips today for how you can create an in-person experience virtually. If you're like our team, we have worked virtually a long time, that's normal, but what's different now is that you have to do everything virtually. So you don't have that option anymore. So the leadership team meeting, the workshop, the training that you would have preferred to have everybody in a room together, you now have to do it virtually. So I'm gonna give you some tips today for how you can actually do it and make it successful. Okay, tip number one, know your technology. So think about it a minute. If you're in a room with other people, you're totally comfortable. You know you've got your whiteboard that you can use, you've got markers, you've got your computer, you can pop something up on the screen to show people. You need to be just as comfortable with the technology you're using. So as an example, we use Zoom. Here are a few features you can take advantage of to create that in-person experience. So number one, you've got breakout rooms. If you've got a big group and you want to create that small group conversation, use breakout rooms. Now, one thing I'll tell you cannot see people when they go into that breakout room. So you need to give them a time in advance. Take 10 minutes and then we'll all come back together. So that way you're kind of sure how that whole thing is going to work. Secondly, there's a whiteboard. Use a whiteboard on Zoom, just like you would if you were in a room together, to take ideas from people and get their input. Polls, great way to get everybody's thoughts. What are your top priorities? Let people vote and let them interact that way. The other thing I will say that's probably the most common is chat. And often the chat is used for pretty basic things like, I can't hear you, or give me a call after the meeting, I can tell you more. Very straightforward things. We recently, as an example, our team, we have squads that focus on different priority areas. Well, we wanted everybody's input. We didn't have time to go through and get everybody commenting on what the squads were sharing. So when we did our share up, we said, please comment, make it a continuous commentary on chat. It's not distracting, we want it. So tell us what you like, what you think we ought to think about. Give us other ideas that you're thinking about. Just put it in chat. We recorded it and people went back to it on each squad and they could see, okay, what's the input from the group? The last thing is you're gonna have to get everybody on video. If you wanna create that in-person experience, you're going to have to get your office ready wherever you are, your kitchen, get ready for Rate My Room and hop on, because it's very distracting if you've got some people that are on video, other people are on audio. You're not going to create that same in-person experience. So know your technology, be super comfortable with it. Tip number two, rework your agenda. And what I mean by that is you can't take that leadership meeting agenda that you had planned for a 3-hour in-person discussion or the training and say, I'm just going to flip it over and we'll do it virtually. It requires rethinking that and saying, how do I break it into smaller chunks? How do I make sure every 10 minutes or so I've got some opportunity for some interaction from the team, some feedback? Also, you can't have one person talking the entire time. You're going to wear out your virtual audience. So take that content that you want to cover and deconstruct it a little bit, make it smaller chunks, more opportunities for interaction, and use some of those tools that I just talked about, and that will make it feel more like it's an in-person experience. Okay, tip number three, retrain your eyes. So what I mean by that, if you are in a room and we're all in this room together, if you're presenting or leading the discussion, you can scan the room and you can easily see who's checked out, who doesn't understand, who's totally multitasking and not listening. So you can visibly see that without even thinking about it, just doing a quick scan. Well, think about when you are on some sort of virtual platform, Zoom, whatever it may be, you've got this Hollywood squares of people. Allow yourself time to pause a minute and still look at those faces. What are they telling me? What do I need to do as the presenter, as the leader of this discussion, to make sure that everybody's with me? So allow that time for that pause to make sure you can see what is happening in the room. My last tip number 4. This last couple of months, we've had a lot of loss, disappointment, giving up things, but there is some opportunity here on this topic. of going from creating that in-person experience virtually. So think about that. So if you're the one that's always been saying, gosh, we could do more virtual working, why are we not being more advanced on that? Or why are we not doing some of these leadership discussions virtually? We're taking up so much time flying everybody else around to be in one place all the time. Or like with a lot of our clients, thinking about how can I replace that in-person training and learning to a more virtual option, the huge trend toward that. So the good thing is if you've been the advocate for those things, your business case has just been made this last couple of months because we're doing it, right? We're out there, work is being done, discussions are being done, leadership meetings are happening. So how can you actually capitalize on that and make that shift? So think about once we get the virus more contained and behind us, what is your work going to look like? What do you want it to work like? And on this whole idea of being more virtual, what's the opportunity? And start now getting ready for it. So with that, I wish you great luck on creating your in-person experience virtually. You can do it. I hope these tips have been helpful to you. Stay safe.